Every great brand story begins with a symbol, a mark that captures its soul. For my new venture, Artisan's Brew, I needed such a symbol. The brand is about quality, tradition, and the joy of a perfectly brewed cup. The logo had to communicate all of this at a glance. In today's world, we stand at a crossroads. Artificial intelligence offers speed and endless options, while human design brings expertise and a creative spark. I decided to try both, challenge an AI and commission a professional designer. This was more than a logo hunt. It was an experiment. I wanted to compare the journey and the outcome, machine versus human, which would capture the heart of Artisan's Brew. The stage was set for a creative duel. Let the challenge begin. My AI design journey started, like many others, with a quest for efficiency and a touch of curiosity. I was eager to see what these new tools could offer, especially when it came to branding. It began with a free logo generator, a readily available platform promising professional results with minimal effort. The allure of instant branding was hard to resist. I carefully entered my brand name, Artisan's Brew, wanting to see how the AI would interpret the essence of my coffee roastery. Then, I selected coffee roastery from a list of industry options, guiding the AI towards the right visual direction. I chose styles like classic and hand-drawn, hoping to capture the authentic and time-honored feel of traditional coffee making. I wanted something that felt both familiar and inviting. And then I picked a warm, earthy palette, envisioning the rich browns and creams that evoke the comforting aroma of freshly roasted coffee beans. The entire process from start to finish took less than 5 minutes. It was remarkably quick and easy. In under a minute, the AI was already generating logo concepts. Dozens of logos appeared, a visual feast of potential brand identities. There were logos featuring coffee beans, logos with coffee cups, logos depicting swirling steam, and logos showcasing all sorts of fonts, from classic serifs to modern sans serifs. The AI had clearly nailed the keywords I provided. It understood the core concepts: coffee, artisan, brew. But as I scrolled through the seemingly endless options, a sense of unease began to creep in. The initial excitement quickly faded, replaced by a growing feeling of disappointment. The designs, while visually appealing on the surface, felt generic and uninspired. They felt more like clip art assembled by an algorithm than thoughtfully crafted brand identities. There was no story behind them, no deeper meaning. There was no clever twist, no unexpected element that would make them memorable. There was no unique interpretation of the brand's values or personality. They could easily belong to any coffee shop anywhere in the world, lacking a distinct identity. After tweaking a few of the designs, trying to inject some personality into them, I picked what I considered to be the best of the bunch. It was a stylized coffee bean cleverly incorporating the letter A, paired with a clean serif font and my chosen warm, earthy colors. It was undeniably professional and usable, meeting the basic requirements of a logo. And of course, it was especially appealing given my $0 budget. But ultimately, it felt like a temporary placeholder, a starting point. It certainly wasn't the final word on my brand's visual identity. The logo was technically correct, adhering to design principles and guidelines, but it was also emotionally sterile, lacking the warmth and personality that define Artisan's Brew. It missed the human touch, the passion and dedication that my brand celebrates in every cup. For Artisan's Brew, it was a start, a quick and easy solution to a branding challenge. But it was definitely not the ultimate answer to crafting a truly authentic and meaningful brand identity. Switching gears, I sought a human designer. I browsed portfolios, searching for someone whose work told a story. I found a UK designer with elegant, clever logos and reached out. Before our call, I wrote a creative brief, describing my audience, brand personality, and practical needs. I shared my color palette, uses for the logo, and what I didn't want. Most importantly, I explained the why behind Artisan's Brew, my passion for the process, the ritual, the craft. This context and emotion is something AI can't grasp. The brief took hours to refine, a thoughtful, deliberate process. It was the foundation for true collaboration. Unlike the AI's 5-minute input, this was about building understanding. The stage was set for a creative partnership. The consultation call with the designer was a revelation. He'd read my brief and came with insightful questions not just about looks, but about the feeling I wanted to evoke. We discussed the brand's future, the ritual of coffee, and the tactile experience of a warm mug. He listened deeply, picking up on my passion for the craft. This kind of empathy and active listening is uniquely human. The designer explained his process, a week of research and sketching, exploring concepts by hand before touching a computer. He wanted to capture the intersection of science and art, precision and warmth. By the end, I felt like a creative partner, not just a client. The timeline was longer than AI, but the process felt right. We weren't just generating images. We were building a brand identity. The wait felt justified. A week later, after the initial brief and the exchange of ideas, the anticipation was building. I was eager to see how the designer had translated my vision into tangible concepts. The digital world can feel instantaneous, but good design takes time, consideration, and a deep understanding of the brand it represents. The designer sent 3 logo concepts. Each one represented a different facet of the brand, a unique interpretation of the values and the story we wanted to tell. It was like receiving 3 different keys, each potentially unlocking the door to the perfect brand identity. Each was shown in black and white, stripped of color to reveal the underlying structure and form. This allowed me to focus on the essence of the design, the shapes and lines that would ultimately define the brand's visual language. It's a testament to strong design when it works just as well in monochrome as it does in full color, then mocked up on real products. Seeing the logos applied to coffee cups, packaging, and merchandise helped me visualize how they would function in the real world, how they would interact with customers on a daily basis. It's one thing to see a logo on a screen, and another to imagine it as part of someone's morning routine. The first, an elegant monogram, a classic approach that spoke of heritage and sophistication. It was a subtle nod to the tradition of coffee making, a timeless symbol that could stand the test of time. A and B woven together, the crossbar a wisp of steam, subtly hinting at the warmth and aroma of freshly brewed coffee. It was a clever detail that added depth and personality to the design, a small touch that elevated it beyond a simple initial. Classic and timeless. It felt like a logo that could have existed for decades, a symbol of enduring quality and craftsmanship. The second, a modern, abstract symbol, a bold departure from tradition. It was a visual representation of innovation and forward thinking, a symbol that would appeal to a contemporary audience. Part coffee bean, part roast to flame, minimalist and clever. It captured the essence of the coffee roasting process in a single, memorable image. It was a design that sparked curiosity and invited interpretation. The third, a custom wordmark, a unique and personalized approach that emphasized the handcrafted nature of the coffee. It felt authentic and genuine, a reflection of the care and attention that went into every bean. Hand-carved letters, giving the wordmark a tactile and artisanal feel. It was as if the logo itself had been crafted with the same care as the coffee. The O in brew replaced by a coffee filter with a single drop. This subtle detail transformed a simple word into a visual representation of the brewing process, a clever and memorable touch that set it apart. This last one blended craft, warmth, and ingenuity. It spoke to the heart of the brand, capturing the essence of the coffee experience in a single cohesive design. It felt unique to my brand, like it was designed specifically for me, capturing the essence of what I wanted to convey. Telling the story of how the coffee was made. It wasn't just a logo, it was a narrative, a visual representation of the journey from bean to cup. The designer's notes revealed the depth of thought and research that had gone into each concept. It was clear that they had taken the time to understand the brand and its values. Thoughtful reasoning behind each choice. Every element, from the typography to the color palette, had been carefully considered and justified. I was drawn to the third concept, the hand-carved wordmark with the coffee filter O. It resonated with me on a deeper level than the others. It was more than a logo. It was a story. It spoke of tradition, craftsmanship, and the passion that went into every cup of coffee. It didn't just say coffee, it communicated the entire brand experience, from the sourcing of the beans to the careful preparation of the drink. It showed the care behind every cup. It was a visual representation of the attention to detail and the commitment to quality that defined the brand. The human touch was unmistakable. It was evident in the hand-carved letters and the subtle details that made the logo feel unique and personal. This was the one. It captured the essence of the brand perfectly, and I knew it would resonate with customers. The decision was easy. It felt right, like the missing piece of the puzzle had finally fallen into place. After reviewing all the initial concepts, I carefully considered each one. There were some interesting ideas presented, but ultimately, I chose the third concept. It resonated with me the most. I then compiled my thoughts and shared my feedback with the designer. I wanted to be as clear and concise as possible, ensuring they understood my vision. I loved the warmth and clever storytelling that was already present in the design. It felt authentic and captured the essence of what I wanted my coffee shop to represent. However, I suggested making the drop in the filter more pronounced. It was a subtle detail, but I felt it would add more visual interest and clarity to the overall design. We also spent some time testing the color palette, exploring different shades and combinations to find the perfect balance. The designer welcomed my input. They were genuinely interested in understanding my perspective and incorporating my ideas. This wasn't just a client-vendor relationship. This was a true dialogue, a collaborative partnership, where we both contributed to the creative process. A few days later, after the designer had time to work on the revisions, he sent refined versions of the logo, incorporating all of my feedback and suggestions. The water drop was now much clearer and more defined, and the color palette featured a rich espresso brown, reminiscent of freshly roasted coffee beans, a warm cream color, like the perfect swirl of cream in a latte, and a touch of muted gold, adding a subtle hint of luxury and sophistication. The logo came alive in color. It was even better than I had imagined. It felt inviting, premium, and completely unique to my brand. Beyond just the logo itself, he also delivered a full brand guidelines document, including logo files in every format I could possibly need, exact color codes for each element, ensuring consistency across all platforms, and a selection of complementary fonts that perfectly captured the brand's personality. This was far more than just a logo. It was a complete and comprehensive brand identity system, ready to be implemented across all aspects of my business. The entire process was collaborative and engaging, not just a simple transactional exchange. It felt like a true partnership. Every detail, no matter how small, was carefully considered and meticulously executed, from scalability across different sizes to ensuring consistent brand application across all materials. The result, a mark I was incredibly proud to put on my product and represent my brand. This level of nuanced understanding and creative problem-solving is something AI simply can't deliver. The difference between a generic AI-generated logo and this custom-designed brand identity was night and day. The moment of truth. Two logos side by side. The AI logo, clean, professional, and A with a coffee bean. It does its job but feels generic and soulless. The professional logo, a custom word mark, hand-carved, with a pour-over filter O. It's clever, warm, and memorable. The difference is immediate. One is a stock photo, the other a work of art. I showed both to friends and family without saying which was which. Everyone guessed correctly. They described the professional logo as thoughtful, unique, and full of personality. The AI logo? Generic, forgettable. The contrast was staggering. The human design told a story, captured a feeling, and stood out. The AI logo was just there. For Artisan's Brew, the choice was obvious. The human touch made all the difference. The experiment proved what I suspected. Soul can't be automated. This experiment was eye-opening. AI is fast and accessible, a great tool for quick ideas or placeholders. For small projects or tight budgets, it's a game changer. But for a brand you care about, the human designer is irreplaceable. The process was a partnership full of empathy and strategy and artistry. The final logo was more than an image, it was a story, a symbol of craft and care. The value lies in everything AI can't do: ask questions, challenge assumptions, obsess over details. The result was a mark I'm proud to use. For me, Team Human wins, hands down. The AI made a logo, the designer created a brand identity. Now, I ask you, which would you choose? Look at both logos. For capturing the soul of a brand, the human touch remains undefeated.